Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another video with Swaggle. I thought I would do the match frame to the thumbnail of the video, which is of course the facepalm. I haven't even made the thumbnail for this video yet, but I already know that this one is going to require the good old-fashioned facepalm thumbnail, because in this video we need to talk about CBCS. CBCS, the company that continually shoots itself in the foot, because just when you think CBCS might be gaining some ground in market share for the grading of comic books and collectibles out there in the market, they go and do something like this and totally don't redeem themselves. We got to talk about CBCS price increases and turnaround times that just do not fit in today's comic book market. But before I get into the video, if you guys could drop me a like or a comment or subscribe if you're enjoying the content, help support the channel, doing those things, I would appreciate it. But let's get into this video here today. Now we have to talk about this. CBCS recently announced their new tiers, new pricing, new turnaround times, and the comic book market met it with understanding and open arms. Obviously, that was not the case. They 1000% hated it. But let's jump into the post that CBCS had put out on their Instagram. Of course, if you guys don't know, CBCS is a grading company, much like CGC Comics, that does, collectibles and slabs, comic books. Of course, you guys know what CBCS is. I don't need to really explain it much further than that. But they recently announced their new pricing tier updates. And they kind of went through it with this Instagram post, and we can see here how they broke it out. New priority service level grading at a glance. Now, new comic books 2001 to present, it's going to be $32 with a max declared value of $1,000. And then you can see right there on the fine print, this is going to be a 60-day turnaround time. So new comic books at a price of $32 with a 60-day turnaround time. Now, in a vacuum, you might be thinking to yourself, well, what's really the big deal? $32, 60-day turnaround time. I don't know. This doesn't seem that bad. But when you compare it to CGC, which of course is the most prominent grading comic book service out there, and you look at their new comic book tier, modern 1975 to present, you can see that the fee per item for them is $24 and a 20-day turnaround time. In fact, you almost are at the point where at $32, I mean, if I wanted to pay a little bit more, $15 on the top of the 24, which obviously is still more than CBCS, I could get it back fast track in 10-day turnaround time. And I think that that is really the thing that is shocking to most people who, saw this announcement and responded to it in the comments, is most people are just talking about like 60-day turnaround times in this market in 2023. Like, what is this, COVID lockdown? Like, that doesn't seem acceptable at all. Like 60-day turnaround times is, who knows what the value of your book is going to be by then. How could you possibly compete with new comic books that come out, with pre-screens or, pre-orders for CGC 9.8s, or in this case, it would be CBCS 9.8s. You can't actually compete in, the spec market or the variant market or the new comic book market with turnaround times like that, especially when compared to what CGC is offering at 20 days and 10 days. Now, similarly, the modern tier for them, they said that it's $34 here, max declared value of $1,000, $45 max declared value of $4,000, and that is also a 60-day turnaround time. Their vintage prices, pre-1975, so we're talking about, maybe when you start to get into the, early Bronze Age, Silver Age, Golden Age stuff, they have it at $50 a tier, max declared value of $1,000, and then $70 if it's max declared value at $4,000 with a 30-day turnaround time. Now, this is maybe a little bit more competitive when we're comparing, apples to oranges here, where, the vintage comic books, if we're talking about right here in economy, pre-1975, the fee for this is $35, which is cheaper than CBCS, but the turnaround time is 130 days. But if you do the fast track, which bumps it up to 50, and now you're on an even playing field with CBCS, the turnaround is still 20 days, which is still 10 days faster than the 30-day turnaround time that CBCS is offering right here. So when you're comparing these tiers, when we're actually breaking it down, looking at, whether it be a new comic book or a modern comic book or a vintage comic book, basically the pricing seems to be relatively the same, yet the turnaround times for CGC are always going to be faster. So what is CBCS really offering here? Now, The one thing that you can say that they are offering that is maybe a little bit of a win is their max declared value. We're talking about insurance prices here, but, for the most part, I don't think that really comes into play that much when we're talking about, someone who wants to send their comics in for grading. Are they thinking about, well, in the worst case scenario, if there has to be an insurance payout, at least I'm going to be covered more by CBCS for the same amount of money that I've put into it. A lot of people, just will decide, even if they have a, say, $800 book, they'll still send it in economy at Fast Track with a $400 max declared value because, what are the chances that their book is not going to, come back to them? I mean, there certainly is always that chance. And I'm sure there's a lot of you guys out there that would definitely, want to protect their book as much as possible. But let's face the facts. Most people who send in their books aren't always declaring the max value. They're trying to maximize their profit margins. So they're going to try to slab the book for as cheap as possible, as fast as possible, and they're not too worried with the book coming back. In fact, if I really had to point it out, I mean, the only situation in the last year where there was a significant story about books not coming back has actually come from CBCS. So maybe it makes sense that they would have to raise their max declared value. And this to me is ultimately, I think, the problem and the frustration that is coming out of the comic book community with this announcement from CBCS is that, I don't have a horse in this race. I don't have a dog in this fight. I don't have a Kang in this dynasty, all right? I have no particular opinion one way or another about which company should or shouldn't be, the number one company out there in the market. But what seems evident to me, what seems clear to me, is that CBCS at this point is sort of just a watered down CGC. I mean, what ownable things does CBCS offer that CGC can't already do for them in a more efficient and better way? CGC is already faster with the turnaround times. CGC is effectively the same price, if not cheaper, in certain situations. CGC comic books hold value better in the vintage market and also the new comic book market. CGC does more signature events. They have custom labels that people prefer. They have labels, just standard labels, that people prefer. Some people argue that the CBCS hard case is better. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I feel like that's subjective. When I hold the CBCS case in my hand, I actually don't like it that much in comparison to the CGC case. And so I think what's really confusing is that I just don't know what the ownable thing of CBCS is. Like, I think of it as like, here is a company that I'm going to send my books into in protest to CGC. Like, they are the not CGC option for comic book collectors. That's really what it is. It's like, and that doesn't seem like that's going to be a reason for me to ever want to become, say, a fan or a loyal customer to CBCS. Like, that doesn't seem like you're going to be able to capture market share there. I mean, it feels like when CBCS did this announcement, shouldn't they at least be like the cheaper option, or their prices should be down? Like, I understand if they don't have the ability to have as fast of turnaround times as CGC, I mean, we can't really fault them for that, right? I mean, that's if they just don't have the infrastructure, they don't have the hands yet, they don't have the support to be able to make that happen. I mean, that's not really their fault, but they should be able to offer something else. They should be able to offer cheaper prices, or at the very least, maybe they should be the company that, increases their customer support. Maybe they should have the best customer support in the market. That's something that they should invest in more so than that of, like, say, a faster turnaround time. Maybe they can have slow turnaround times, but their customer service is top notch. And for the most part, as far as I understand it, their customer service is worse than CGC's. So the problem is like, you have this other company that's really not providing any value to the comic book market. And speaking of values, I mean, the most important thing, which I think is the number one consideration for everybody who is grading their comic books, is going to be the values themselves. And I know that this is probably, painful to those out there who think about CBCS and want it to be, the go-to company. But let's face the facts here. CBCS values, there is a bias here. They do not hold up the same way as CGC prices do. Now, that being said, if I was selling a book, I wouldn't just sell my CBCS book for 10% cheaper just because it's in a CBCS case. I mean, that's actually kind of silly to me. It's still the same book in there. Why does the case really matter? But that's me. That's not up to the market to decide. There is actually this bias. And I just want to show you guys a couple of recent examples. Like, here we have an Incredible Hulk #1, and there was a heritage auction earlier this year in January that I actually had talked about a little bit in a live stream, but I didn't actually break it down in the video. And this was actually really interesting to see because they were sales that happened live for a CBCS Incredible Hulk 1 and a CGC Incredible Hulk 1 that happened back to back. So the first one that went up for sale was this one right here, Incredible Hulk 1 CBCS 7.5 with white pages. And then the book that sold after that was this CGC Incredible Hulk 1 7.0, so half a grade less, but also white pages. And what were the sale values for this one? Well, the CBCS one, as you guys can see, went for $58,800. Oh, excuse me, right there, $58,800. And then the CGC one went for $63,000. Come on, go. Oh my God. $63,000 right there. So you can see that the CGC book at a 0.5 grade less still sold for $5,000 more. Now, I know a lot of you guys are probably thinking to yourselves, well, the book in the CGC case looks better than the CBCS one had a, whatever. It doesn't really matter. The point is, people look at the number and people decided, hey, that's a CBCS case. I would rather buy the CGC one. I don't care that it is a 0.5 grade higher. And therein is proof of the bias, at least on the secondary market. So if you were someone who was selling a book, why would you ever send it into CGC if you're trying to maximize your profit margin? This is also true of books in the modern age as well. Let's talk about Something is Killing the Children. Number one, a book that has been super hot this last couple weeks or so. And just to show you guys, here is a CBCS sale for a 9.8 that sold for $700 on February 26th. And you can see the CGC sales that are surrounding this. You have a 9.8 CGC sell for $954 just the day before that. So $154 more than the CBCS one. And then after the fact, you have a sale on February 27th, a CGC 9.8 sell for $880. So $180 more. So both before and after for this modern book, you have sales for CGC books that go for a lot higher. And this is pretty consistent time and time again. So again, if we're thinking about customer base and what CBCS offers, obviously what they can't offer is to guarantee the highest value of your book. So anyone who's a comic book dealer or anyone who wants to send in their books for grading and protect the value or whatever the case may be is not going to be incentivized to send it into CBCS because, as we can see, at least anecdotally in those values, they're not going to be able to hold up as much as the CGC prices are. So, it sort of begs the question, what is CBCS really going to offer the comic book market? Now, kudos to them. The one thing that they can offer is signature authentication. So, that's one thing that CGC does not offer. Although there's a lot of people that would argue that, CBCS should not offer that at all because, to me, it's really more of a philosophy than a perk, right? Where I think CGC actually just has a philosophy of if we didn't see it, it didn't happen. And that's just the stance that they have to take. And that's actually a respectable one. I totally understand that. So that's the only real thing that CBCS can offer. And I think a lot of the frustration with what we saw with this recent announcement and the post and what people are talking about in the comments is, this frustration of again, you're just continuing to be this not as efficient, not as effective CGC. And when are you actually going to, offer something different in the market? And I think that this is actually, a parallel thing to what we see with Beckett currently going in the sports card world. Now, I'm not an expert in the sports card world, but from what I generally hear about it, Beckett, who owns CBCS, again, has lost a lot of market share in these last couple of years because Beckett essentially is not PSA. And there's been other companies that have popped up like SGC that has been able to at least kind of take some market share and say, hey, we're going to be the company that can do, cheaper prices and faster turnaround times and still be a respected company that offers some service. Maybe we don't hold the same values as PSA, but at least we can offer something that's different. Now, there are some interesting companies that I did want to talk about because I got a little package here from EGS, which is another grading company. And I wanted to just kind of highlight to you guys why I think EGS is doing good stuff for the market. Now, I can't speak to EGS in terms of values and prices, but Tony from this company, the CEO, did send me this book to check out, did send me their EGS case. And I think it is really cool what they're doing overall. I mean, the case is, it's very much like a CGC case. The label, as you guys can see, at least this label, looks like a CGC label, although I think they have a long way to go with the label because of the printing quality of it. It's clearly not quite as nice as what we see with some of the other companies, but they're trying to do different things. And I think this is a good indication of what companies should be looking to do in order to break out or in order to appeal to certain customers out there in the market. What they do offer is a lot of customization of labels. Now, there might be a lot of you guys thinking, well, I don't really like having, labels that are different colors, or I like all my books uniform. And that totally makes sense. And I understand why you would want that. I feel very similarly in my thoughts, but at least what this company is offering is those people who, maybe they just want to have, a Hulk book that has a green label on it. So the entire, slab kind of matches and it goes with a certain aesthetic that they're going for. It doesn't have to be purely for comic book collectors. It could be for shelf design, or, maybe I have a back wall where I have a pop figurine with some other like Hulk posters and I want everything to match and I want everything to be green. They offer this customization, which I think is something that is very, very ownable to them and is actually really nice to offer the comic book market, which is not what you can say for CBCS, because I'm not really sure what they stand for. Anyways, that's all I got for this video. That was CBCS's recent announcement. What do you guys think about CBCS? What do you guys think about this announcement? What do you guys think about the turnaround times right there? Again, I'm not trying to make this a CBCS bashing video. It's just me calling it like I see it. And I want CBCS to be more competitive with CGC so that both of these companies can continue to push each other and get better. And then we, the comic book collectors, benefit overall. Anyways, that's all I got for this video. Like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you in the next one. Oh, Kickstarter goes live next week. Be sure to check that out. Link in the description.